right here with me, rocking with the best. Jury live stream coming to you yet again. And boy, howdy, has there been a week. This is what we like to call a week rich with news. Isn't that right, Dr. Bird? Dr. Bird agrees. Make a birdhouse in your soul and fill it with all the goddamn news that happened this week. That's what I ask you to do, friends. And it seems so long ago. In this 24-hour, 12-hour, really 5-hour Twitter-based social media culture, honestly, I thought that the Jason Collins first gay NBA player announcement that happened earlier this week was like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. But then again, I have a terrible sense of time because also this week I called my mom for Mother's Day, which isn't until next week. So, the good news was I was early on it. That was pretty awesome. And no live episode next week, but a interview with Gloria, Elsie, Anzalone Young. It's going to be one hell of a time. Me and my mom go ahead and talk. But let's not focus on next week. Let's focus on this week. Jason Collins. Have you heard of him? No, you haven't. Because most of the people that are listening to this podcast hate sports, let alone like basketball, let alone are familiar with the intricacies of various journeymen, of which Jason Collins is. If you're unfamiliar, Jason Collins is a 34-year-old center who most recently played with the Washington Wizards and is currently a free agent. Right, Dr. Bird? See, what happened is he used to play for the Washington Wizards, and before that he played for the Celtics this season. He's played for various other teams. He's at the end of his career. Why are we talking about him? Well, we are talking about him because he's gay. He's a gay guy. Now, he made an announcement that was far more eloquent than that, although I would have liked it if that's what it was. It was just a big banner headline in Sports Illustrated that was just gay guy, and then a big arrow that pointed to his head. He's out and proud. First ever that we've had a guy, because this was a very qualified announcement, ladies and gentlemen, because he's not the first out gay athlete. Been plenty of those before. A lot of them in soccer, minor sports, probably on the highest profile. WNBA has many, many, many out female athletes. They don't play the same game that Jason Collins does in terms of a cultural level. They don't. So you had to qualify it by saying the first in a major sport. But what do we define by major sport? You could probably qualify it by attendance. Really what we want to say, what the announcement really was the first time that a gay guy has come this close to stars we care about. The first time that we can ask Kevin Garnett, who he played with, what do you think about having a gay guy in your locker room? He played with John Wall. John Wall is the point guard for the Washington Wizards. He's a star. You can ask him, what do you think about the gay guy? Now, what this was couched as is Dr. Bird flying around like a lunatic. What this was couched is the first active gay athlete. But he's currently a free agent and he's 34 years old. So by all accounts, there's a very high likelihood that if you're just talking about 34-year-old center as a free agent, you just told somebody that, they would probably say, I don't know, he's probably not going to get a job. But he's active because he wants a job. Because it's kind of like when you get unemployment. It's like, are you looking for work? Yes, I am. Now, there's a couple elements to this. The first of which is why it's a big deal. And I saw a lot of people, including some roommates of mine, who were a little upset about the fact that he was being referred to as the first out gay athlete because there were others before them. It's just because we care about basketball, men's basketball, more than other stuff. And by the way, this does not stop with Jason Collins. Because if by the beginning of the basketball season next year, there is a more famous gay player who outs himself, we return to the blissful world where we did not know Jason Collins' name. He'll be on the Wikipedia, just like John Amici. But we're not going to know his name. It's not like now, if he's the most famous gay athlete in the NBA, every time he goes to a city, someone's going to ask him about it. If, let's say, theoretically, Kevin Durant came out, Kevin Durant plays for the Oklahoma City Thunder. If LeBron James came out of the closet, then we would not be talking about Jason Collins. We wouldn't. He would be looked at as the guy that did that thing before something important happened, which is what Jason Collins is to every woman who's ever come out in the WNBA, or every guy that ever came out when he played lacrosse, or every guy that came out in European soccer that, we just don't care about in America. So, where are we now? It's obviously a good thing. I got into a conversation with Scott Johnson on the morning stream on Tuesday where he seemed reluctant to even mention it as anything that was news because we shouldn't be worrying about this as news. And believe you me, I understand and appreciate that point of view, but it is news. It is dog bites, sorry. I'm going to put my back down, flip it, and reverse it. Man bites dog. You don't see this very often. In fact, you have not seen it from somebody who's still looking to get a job. So where are we now? Well, that depends a lot on what happens next. Because a lot of the reason why Jason Collins had a career was because he was what is called a locker room guy. A locker room guy. That means that he can keep the wild-ass motherfuckers in line. That he's the one that shows up early for practice. He's the one who works out late. He's the one who says, hey, listen, you're being too selfish with the ball. You got to pass it to this other guy. So as much as everybody said, yay you, you're gay, I don't know how much it's going to really matter in the long term if he can't get a job. Or, I don't know. I don't want to make that pronouncement. I will say it will tell us a little bit more about where we are. If people can't look at him and say, yes, he can still be the locker room guy. Schmoer Nurgribnub in the chat room says he's the one checking out your unit. Okay, let's also get this one straight. There are gay guys in the NBA now. There are gay guys in the NFL now. And the media protects these people. I don't want to get all Rush Limbaugh, start talking about the media. The media elite. But the media, the sports media, protects gay players. And if you want proof positive, I need you only to put your fingers on the keyboard, type out Kerry Rhodes. That is Rhodes as in Rhodes Scholar. R-H-O-D-E-S. And then gay afterward. Because there was a personal assistant of Kerry's that has come out and basically laid out some fairly damning evidence about the fact that they were in a relationship. And this is the kind of dude for whom you do not want blabbing to all your friends. You ever date somebody crazy and all your friends are like, dude, they're crazy. And you're like, oh, I don't know, man. Pretty good. I like them. And then all of a sudden things go bad and you realize how crazy they are. And you're like, oh, fuck, man. You were right. That person is crazy. This person's crazy is one that Kerry was involved with. But it has not been big news because no one wants to out people. And I'm not saying we should. I'm just saying that the media protects gay athletes. They protect the secrets of gay athletes. So, where are we now? We're at the point where we care about Jason Collins, which means that we care about the gay issue more than anything, because all of a sudden he's a person, and before he wasn't. We will really be in a situation when people that we care about react to this story. This is the story that we want to see evolved. And until then, we're just going to have to pretend that we care about Jason Collins. Now, I'm not saying that Jason Collins isn't an awesome guy. I think it takes a lot of courage for him to come out. I certainly do. We're actually going to get back to this in a little bit because I got a really interesting letter that I want to talk about. That's a little bit later in the podcast. I'm going to talk about Breaking Bad in a second. Jason Collins is gay. Also, gay Jason Collins. All right. I've been watching a little show called Breaking Bad. I'm going to talk a little bit about Breaking Bad. I'm going to try to keep this as non-spoilery as possible, but if you have not seen it, then this is the kind of thing that you want to go ahead and pause the stream for and just watch the chat room, because they will let you know when I am done talking about it. Breaking Bad's a very, very interesting show, and it's a show that I've been kind of reluctant to watch because I initially didn't hear great things about it, and then it just was something that kind of fell off my radar. It also, for me, has held a very odd relationship with another show that I very much like. And let me drill that down a little bit further. The fan base of Breaking Bad, or at least the fan base for which I interact with for Breaking Bad, has been very antagonistic with Mad Men. Now, why is that? I think having watched the show, I can drill down a little bit more. But let me explain to you guys what I know about it. Mostly, Breaking Bad fans have told me that Mad Men's boring. And more specifically, and most vociferously, they've been very upset by the fact that they view Mad Men got money that maybe should have went to Breaking Bad. This is a criticism that puzzles me greatly because it presupposes many things. A, that we know exactly what the balance sheet is for AMC. Beyond a few very well-reported articles, that we have any clue where the decision-making came in with this. Okay? And specifically, we're talking about the last deal that Matthew Weiner made with AMC, which basically set Mad Men up to make 3 final seasons. He got paid a bunch of money. Mad Men, although the first prestigious hit for AMC, and I think the one with the most Emmys for them, is the lowest rated of their big stable of hits, including Mad Men, Breaking Bad, and Walking Dead. Breaking Bad does more than Mad Men. Walking Dead does like light years more than both of them. So, the other thing that it presupposes is that AMC is some way a fair arbiter. That in some way, Matthew Weiner is the one who's incompetent or greedy. He got the money, and then Breaking Bad was left holding the bag. When really, shouldn't we, if there is a disparity between Breaking Bad and Mad Men, shouldn't we be blaming AMC for putting themselves in this situation and not holding firm? I don't know how Mad Men kind of gets the blame for it as an entity, as a creative entity, why that is the bad guy in this situation. That's usually what I read in the chat room when I bring up how much I like Mad Men. Or if I bring up how much I like Mad Men around Brian Brushwood of NSFW show. So I would be lying if I said that watching Breaking Bad kind of took a back seat just because I kind of didn't like the reaction that I got whenever I talked about Mad Men, and people saying that it was like a better show and I was a bad guy for liking Mad Men. But I finally started watching it. I'm now just into season 3, and I can drill down on why I believe there is a fan disparity between the two shows. Because they are, in fact, very, 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 very different shows. Mad Men is a show about themes and characters. Breaking Bad is a show about suspense. Primarily. What makes Breaking Bad special, nay great, is the acting. Now, Mad Men's got great acting too. But you could put other actors in the roles of the people that are on Mad Men, and it would still be a good show. It might be a lesser show, but it would be a good show. You could replace Elizabeth Moss. Value over replacement Mad Men actor. You can put somebody else in there and they would do well. Maybe Peggy isn't as great, but it's good. If you replace Bryan Cranston or Aaron Paul on Breaking Bad, I believe the show's nearly unwatchable. I really do. I kind of believe that, like, I don't know if the show's any good at all. And not to say that it's not well written. It's incredibly suspenseful. But it's not special. You know, it's not as engaging. Like, we watched the trials of Walter White and his paternal relationship with his drug-dealing cohort. And we're drawn in by how they're acted. It's really, it's hard to even put into words for people who haven't seen it. But they're transcendent performances. They're absolutely amazing. But I think it's because of this that if you are into Breaking Bad and you start to watch Mad Men, I think you just look at it totally differently. I think that you are into a different show. In the same way that people who watch Walking Dead, the majority of people who watch Walking Dead think Breaking Bad sucks. Or at least suck enough not to watch it. And more people who watch Walking Dead think Mad Men sucks. Because there's different audiences. And it's amazing that AMC has built a DNA of a network for themselves off 3 really different shows. Now, I'll say this. As I round into season 3 of Breaking Bad, you can see the strains of doing a suspense show. It's hard to do. Because you can only have your person barely evade stuff for so long, you know, before you start to not trust it. And as we get into season 3, you start to see things. I don't want to get into details for people who don't want to be spoiled, but you start to see things where it's like, all right, no, you guys are just inventing stuff so you can kind of hang some fancy ornaments on the fact that we know that, you know, maybe Walter White gets caught, but I don't think so. We'll see. I'll talk about Breaking Bad once I finish up the entire season. But anybody else who's watching, go ahead and let me know what you think. I mean, do you guys agree with this about what, you know, the differences between both shows? If you watch both shows, explain to me the difference between those two shows. Justin Robert Young at gmail.com. Ladies and gentlemen, you can email me, JustinRobertYoung at gmail.com. Do me a favor, throw jury in the subject line. Colby writes, "Hey, you old bastard. Hope you're doing well. A topic I'd love to hear your thoughts on are the new consoles like Xbox 360 being online all the time. It would be cool to hear you tear these fuckers down for putting something so stupid in a console." Colby from Alberta, Canada. Well, Colby, I think we can all agree if they put something like this in, it is at the concession of certain elements of their organization, right? Because why else would you want to do it? It certainly is not It hasn't proven itself to be a technological leap forward to have an always-on technology. We've seen with SimCity, they've wanted to kind of have this like constantly evolving, interconnected experience, and that's why they've justified the always-on thing, but that hasn't really proven out. It's not like we've seen a huge jump where it's like, well, thank God. Again, now we have this always-on technology. We can get these awesome elements. So you're kind of forced to believe, and again, we are making assumptions, but you're kind of forced to believe that this is to get around people who are trying to stop piracy. People who want to not deal with pirated games. I guess I just didn't realize that was still such an issue. I mean, I'm not really at the forefront of this. Again, I don't play video games, although I did write a show about video games last year. LOL. But I'll say this, if they do it, it opens up, another way that someone like Steam, someone like Apple can totally come into that market. The more that you put yourself in that situation where you are completely ignoring the wants of your customers, you are asking for somebody else to come in and swoop in. And right now you've got two companies that seem to be in fairly good position. They are not in terrible position to completely take this market. You could say that Apple and Steam are in very good position to overtake that market. But we will see. I think that will be a big test. I mean, we don't know for sure whether or not the new Xbox is going to be always on, but every sign points to it. I continue to take your recommendations on who I should book for interviews. And again, interview with my mom for Mother's Day next week. Donald writes, I'd love to hear a pod with you and Rooker. Love to talk about Rooker. Although there was an episode of NSFW show that we got really kind of into the Rooker story. But Rooker, post-Walking Dead, pre-Guardians of the Galaxy, could be a very interesting time to talk to him. Could be a very interesting time to sit down with my daddy, Michael Rooker. And here's the conversation that I wanted to have. I teased you guys at the beginning. There was a very interesting email that came in about Jason Scott. This comes in from Weird Am I. From what I can gather, that player that just said he was gay isn't really that good of a player or of whatever sport that was. Remember Ellen DeGeneres and how way back she used to have a TV show that sucked balls? Well, she squeezed out a second season by saying that she was gay. Her show was even less funny, but she was brave. Instant new season. That something ball player might have been on the verge of being cut from his team, but now is politically impossible for him to get fired. Gay is the new immunity idol. Now, there are many things about that are not true, Weird Am I? And although I appreciate your point of view, let's just run down the factual inaccuracies. Number one, Ellen's show was not on the first season. It was many, many seasons into its run by the time that she came out. And I believe she did get another season after that. She even got a show after that, another sitcom after that. Jason Collins is right now without a job. So he needs to get hired. It's not a matter of him being unable to get fired that is really the issue right now. So we will see whether or not he can get hired. But I think that this is not a slam dunk. Because understand this. Everybody in the NBA came out and said, this guy's great. League offices around the league said, oh man, this guy's the best. The NBA came out and said, this guy's the best. He's awesome. Very brave. You want to know why? Because public opinion polls say that the majority of America is for gay marriage. And if they're for gay marriage, that means that they are not for gays being discriminated against in the workplace. Now, talk is cheap. See, I'm doing it for the last 35 minutes, and I haven't paid a red goddamn cent. Dr. Bird just did it, and I'm not charging him a fucking penny. You want to know what's not cheap? Hiring a basketball player. That ain't cheap. To think that he's going to get a job just because you can say, hey, gay guy, I don't know, sell tickets to other gay guys, not appear bigoted or make a statement, be the team that did it. That's not how it works. Because there are coaches and general managers whose jobs are on the line when it comes to winning basketball games. If they think that Jason Collins can win them basketball games, they'll hire him. But if they don't think that he can win basketball games, and they just want to have, a big statement on their roster, they're not going to do it. They can make a big statement by having Jason Collins night, where you have to be gay to get in the arena, and everything's free. Free gay night. All you have to do is swear to us up and down that you're gay. That's a statement. That would actually probably cost more than hiring Jason Collins. But you get what I'm talking about. They can have a banner. They can build a float. They can put his face on a blimp. We love our gay Collins. But to pay him to play basketball, it's a whole different ball of wax. Whole different ball of wax. Again, JustinRobertYoung@gmail.com. Put jury in the subject line if you would like to email me. Still looking for a list of people that you'd like to hear me interview. And love to hear your thoughts on Breaking Bad and Mad Men. We're going to wrap things up after this next break. Give me any question you guys have in the chat room, and I will go free fallen throughout them. A lot of awesome comments here in the chat realm about Jason Collins. Gatawag in reference to my free gay night. Hello, sir. Please fillet this gentleman for free access to tonight's show. Skirt Beat says it's NB gay night. Paul B. Meller in reference to the Xbox discussion. As long as piracy is easier, it offers better selection than buying/renting, it will triumph. And I do think that is something that has changed. That is certainly changed over the last couple of years. That now it's way easier to not, it's harder to pirate stuff than it is to buy them on the internet. TV Seagon says, Jury, now that the Twit Brick House has a real phone call system, do you think you could do real call-in shows on the Twit network? I did not know that. That's awesome. I would love to do call-in shows. That'd be super awesome. When did that happen? That's great. No, look for it. Call in with Jury. Coming live to the Twit network. Jury takes your calls. 5 p.m. every day. Somebody in front of me is just mouthing the words bad idea. I think it probably is a terrible idea, too. Dr. August Love says, Jerry's late night booty call. Ooh, coming to Twit this fall. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps it up for this edition of the Jury Podcast. Sorry it's so late. We got a bunch of stuff I got to do. It's Cinco de Mayo. I'm drinking Trader Jose's. If, again, you'd like to email me, JustinRobertYoung@gmail.com. Again, Night Attack 2 for 2 weeks on the Billboard comedy charts at number 1. Top of the plow. Goddamn humdinger. Giant cup, foam finger. No. Gold cup, something, giant foam finger, number 1. Available on iTunes and Amazon. Hopefully coming soon to Google Play is Night Attack 2. Enjoy the Garden. Go ahead and check that out. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, for Justin Robert Young, Ashley Paramore, and Dr. Bird, please, until the next time I see you, do not die. Wait, hold on. I was corrected. It is Night Attack 2. Enjoy the garden. All right. Well, that about wraps it up. Thank you guys for hanging out. Sorry this was such a last-minute thing. I was on the road yesterday. Again, long-form interview with Gloria Young for Mother's Day next week. Adios, ladies and gentlemen.